Hi guys, welcome to our live Q&A session. I'm Suzy Reading. I am muddling my way through with you and we've got some really fantastic questions today. So we're going to dive straight in. I love that these questions help us understand that what we are going through is a very shared experience, and I hope you feel a real sense of validation when you hear the kind of questions that everyone else is asking. Okay, so let's take a look. We've got a few questions to work through. Quite a few of them are relating to managing our emotions or the emotions of our kids, which we can deal with all together. But first question up. My day is a constant juggling act at the moment. I only have short bursts of time to work, but when I do have those moments, I find it really hard to focus. Similarly, when I'm with the kids, it's hard to shift my mind to focus back on them. Are there any ideas on how to navigate it all and refocus on the situation at hand? Okay, we need little tips and tools that help to prime our mind and body for the task ahead. So when I am getting ready for work, if I am able to work for a chunk of time, I'll get dressed for work. That's not always possible because, as this question suggests, sometimes we've got little pockets of time. So simple things that we can do to kind of get us into the headspace for work. It might be standing up tall and taking 6 mountain breaths to clear the decks, to release what's already happened in your day and to prepare you for what's next. It might be simply using scent, using a scent like a room spray or a hand balm that has a scent that's citrusy, that's about focus, that's about energy. Now, similarly, you could use scent at the end of your day as a signal to your body to calm. It would be a different kind of scent. It might be rose, it might be lavender. So it's another segue to a different part of your day. I think a little bit of movement can be helpful too. So maybe a little shaking off movement, yeah? To release, to expunge, to blow away what you no longer need. Breath work. So maybe it could be a candle breath where you breathe in through your nose and out through your mouth through gently pursed lips, just to bring you into the moment. Okay, so these are some very simple things that we can do to give us focus and concentration. It might be having a quick snack. Yeah, it could be a handful of nuts. It could be a banana. It could be making sure that you're not dehydrated. So have a quick drink. And as you do that, set some kind of intention. So you can pair all of these rituals, whether it's movement, breath, hydration, nutrition, or using scent, using your senses, with some kind of mantra, yeah, where you can say to yourself, now it is time for this particular task. It's not time to worry about the work emails now. I'm with the kids. It is just time to do this thing. And I think if we can just give ourselves permission to be human beings, I'm just one human being. I can't wear my teacher's hat, my work hat, my this hat, all at once. Yeah, give ourselves permission. Just put one hat on. Just do that one thing right now. Yeah, multitasking. Yeah, it doesn't work. That's not how our brain is designed to work. Single task. Just do this thing. Let the world wait. And make peace with the fact that we are not going to be able to plow through as much as we did on the work front with our children at home. We're not going to be able to homeschool like they would be at school. We are crisis schooling. Yeah, we just do what we can. Okay, so I hope that's helpful in how to bring your mind into sharp focus on what it is that lies ahead of you. These simple rituals that are like a little segue to different chapters of our day. I think chunking our day down like that can be really helpful, where right now I'm setting the intention to do this thing. We're going to do this thing for a certain period of time. It might just be 20 minutes. It could be 5 minutes. It could be the next hour. This is what we're doing. And then we're moving into this thing. So keep chunking your day down. Okay, let's move into the next question. Sometimes my 8-year-old just refuses to sit down for his lesson and do the work. If I push too hard, it can often escalate quickly. We're under pressure from school to make sure they show up and submit their work. In those moments when I sense that pushback, how can I rein things in again? This is such a challenge. We've got to remember what lies within our control. You can't make your child sleep. You can't make your child eat. You can't make them pitch up, show up, and do the work. We can't physically do that. We can coax, we can encourage, we can pave the way as best possible, but you can't make them do it. I think what helps in this situation is, depending on how old your children are, we can actually sit down as a family and have a conversation about family contracts, where we can say, okay, as your mummy, it is my job to make sure that you've got clean clothes to put on at the beginning of the day. I'm going to prepare you breakfast. I'm going to sit with you and we're going to do home learning together. I also need to stack the dishwasher at some point. I'll make lunch. I need time to do my work. I'm going to work in partnership with Dad. We're going to do our best to keep things as harmonious as possible. These are my commitments to you. These are the things that I am working on. And in partnership, these are your responsibilities. So depending on how old your children are, ask them, what is it that you agreed to do? Maybe it's simple things like making their bed in the morning. It could be putting their dirty clothes in the dirty clothes basket. It could be when they've finished their meal, they bring their plate to the sink. It can be, obviously, as much as possible, showing up, pitching up, and doing their home learning with a constructive attitude, knowing that that's part of their job. Yeah? We can't make them do it though. And I think when we sense that real reluctance, you know your child. You know, sometimes it's you've got to know when to push and when not to push. If we can remind our children of what their personal why is, yeah? So sometimes kids are looking at this stuff and thinking, why on earth am I ever going to need to know this stuff? If you can come up with some practical, relevant, real-life situations where this task is really useful, this knowledge is useful, this skill is useful, and reminding of what's their personal why, yeah? Rather than it being something that's just forced on them. So this is a dialogue. Yeah, this is a dialogue that we have with our kids, trying to encourage them to see their own personal purpose in this work, but also knowing when to just say, do you know what, it's just not worth it. What's the most important thing here? Well, I think collective calm, collective mental health is far more important than achieving the work tasks, the school tasks. Okay, so next question. Now I'm going to read a couple of questions because, as I said before, I think it's really useful to get insight into how other people are experiencing lockdown life, because it's tough for us all. So when my youngest isn't happy with something, he gets really angry really quickly at the moment. It could be as simple as he doesn't like what's for supper, or he has to turn the TV off. He starts charging at us, gritting his teeth, and starts winding himself up. I'm not sure how to handle all this anger. I've tried getting him to breathe and calm down, but he often escalates quickly and starts charging around the room. Any suggestions? So this is one question around anger. I want to read another one and we're going to address them together. My kids are both really shouty at the moment. Sometimes I manage to keep calm and say calmly, please don't shout at me. Other times I can't help but shout back, and then it all escalates. How can I help them not to always react with a shout, and how can I keep myself calm in response more often? And one more question. Becoming angry and outbursts of shouting are feeling like a daily occurrence. Sometimes I know my expectations of them are too high, but other times it doesn't feel unrealistic to want just 5 minutes of quiet play. I'm at my wit's end. Okay, so all of these questions are relating to how we manage our emotions. If we're looking at trying to shape our children's emotions, I think it really helps to have conversations about our emotions in times of peace and calm. It's not the time to look at introducing strategies to calm and soothe in the midst of tantrums or when emotions are running really high. We don't want to introduce it then, okay? So if we're looking at helping build our children's toolkit of calming and soothing practices, yeah, let's weave them into daily life. Let's weave them into play. Let's weave them into preparation for bedtime so that they are accustomed to using these tools, so they feel like this is just a fun, normal part of life, like brushing teeth or having a bath. We also do our take 5, where you breathe in and breathe out. Breathe in and breathe out. Yeah, little strategies like this where they're well versed with them in moments of calm before we try to use them in moments of heightened emotions. There's a beautiful point here where we're talking about realistic expectations. As a mum, how often do you think to yourself, oh my God, stop behaving like a child? They are kids. This is really challenging. This is such a pressure cooker situation. We've got to keep recognizing what is appropriate, realistic to expect from our children, not just at this age, but from our children at this age in this extreme set of variables. We've got to temper our expectations all over again, okay? So dial back expectations of them, dial back expectations of yourself. And I think in every day, if we can expect moments of chaos, we can expect meh moments, we can expect some moments of joy too. Yeah, in every day, there's going to be some absolute horrendous moments where you want to tear your hair out. This is par for the course. This is what everyone is experiencing right now, okay? In those moments, if we can at best just stay as calm as humanly possible. So all of those basic tips like count to 10, don't do anything yet, just count to 10. Little circuit breaker. My top tip is to have a drink of water, because one, you're hydrating yourself, and I tell you what, dehydration is a recipe for being grinchy. But also when you're drinking something, you can't say anything. So if you find it really hard to bite your tongue, have a drink. With older children, rather than saying stop being this or don't do that, can we invoke a sense of, well, what are our family values? What's important to us as a family? So instead of trying to shape behavior, you can say, how can we be kind to ourselves in this moment? Or what's important to us as a family in this moment? How can we cultivate that? And if you find yourself constantly picking at your children's bad behavior and focusing on that, well, then let's turn our attention to what they're doing well. So when you see your children behaving well, praise them. When you see them being kind to their siblings, let them know how much it's appreciated. When they do little things around the house, get really good at giving voice to that stuff. Because for relationships to flourish, we need a ratio of 5 positive comments for every 1 negative comment. Okay, so be on the lookout for these opportunities to praise good behavior. And compassion, compassion, compassion. This is a really testing time for you. It's a testing time for your kids. Can we just acknowledge that, especially with younger kids, it's not like they don't just feel their emotions, they become their emotions. They don't have the capacity to sit with it and to talk about it. Yeah, they become their emotion. They become anger. And we've got to wait for that emotion to pass before we can have a dialogue around it. But the regular practice of soothing tools, and let me show you where you'll find all of those tips and tools. It's stand tall like a mountain. This is where you're going to find those practices like Shavasana. We call it resting snowflake in my household. That lying down pose that you do at the end of a yoga session where you just flop and drop. A regular practice of that also helps to keep your children calm. Okay? It teaches them how to relax. And this is essential when it comes to navigating big emotions. You've got to know how to relax. So it's building the skill of relaxation. Other tips and tools that you'll find in there, breathing practices. We talked about with the Take 5. We've talked about the candle breath. The other one is lion breath, where we're dissipating the energetic charge of anger. Breathe in through the nose, breathe out through the mouth with the tongue extended as far out as possible. Looks like this. Really cathartic. It's a healthy way to express your anger, and it stops you or your kids from saying something nasty. Okay, so I think we can all identify with these questions. It's so challenging to focus in the moment, to switch our attention from different things. It's challenging to get our kids on board, but I think sitting down and developing the family contract can be really helpful, and then navigating our emotions. We need to have these soothing practices as a regular part of our day, whether we're using movement or whether we're using soothing touch or whether we're using the breath, whether we're using mantras, kind words, invoking family values. This is how we pick our way through this challenging time together. But I hope there's something useful in there for you today. I'm wishing you peace and ease, guys. Take good care of you. See you soon. Bye.